with anyone. I could be with anyone. You're here with me. You're here with me. You could be around with me. You could be with anyone. I could be with anyone. You're here with me. You're here with me.
Whoa, hey, what's going on, people? Welcome to the show. Sorry I'm starting a little late tonight. I'm not as well as I thought I was in my recovery, but we are back now, people. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the SpeakPipe show. For those who don't know, we offer a lot of opportunity on this channel. I like to think, I say we, meaning me, because I'm the only guy in the room, but we offer a lot of opportunities for people to be able to give their points of view and their perspectives on what we have going on. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is simply this. Most of the lives that I do are like, I do a total of Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday lives, plus the members roundtable on Saturday. Only one of those lives do I give just my opinion. In the other lives that I provide, the other 3 lives that I provide, they're all audience reaction, interaction, and opinions. So for the most part, I'm trying to give folks the most opportunity to be able to give their perspectives or their points of views on some of the topics that we cover. Now, folks, now, I want to welcome people to join. I see Rosemont Harris has joined us. Ann Lang is here. Maria Gomez, Darlene Hall, of course. Unlimited Lipstick in the house. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Again, this is the SpeakPipe show. So we had a couple people call in for the SpeakPipes. It's not that extensive tonight. I guess as the sister wife season has drawn down, so has some of the interest in leaving some SpeakPipes. Because I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not even mad at folks who are disconnecting from sister wives, or I shouldn't say disconnecting, just unplugging, because sister wives has become one of those things at this point. And this is why I'm kind of giving the herald call that TLC's what's going on, Ann Lang. This is why I'm giving the herald call that this show may very well come to a close. And because of that, and because of some calls that I received, as well as some commentary I received from other members, I want to talk at the end of this live about how we'll move forward as a channel and what I plan to do. I know I've been kind of, here and there, but I really want to give you guys a perspective on what it is I have going on, so that you know where we're going as a channel and you know kind of what you're tuning into. Because I get it. Like it's exhausting, and part of the reason why I think recently, even as I've been making my commentary on Sister Wives, I've been saying, like, I just want to be fair, because there is a point of frustration with so much of what we're watching on television, because we're promised, because essentially I look at it as a contract. All right. When we started watching Sister Wives, we were promised one thing, right? We were promised entry level into people's situations, their relations, and their situations. Right. And for the most part, Sister Wives, I feel, provided that entry level into those positions. Now, however, I think that because of their desire to stay more private, their desire to keep more secrets, and my phone is going, how unprofessional. Their desire to keep more secrets, their desire to keep more things to themselves, their desire to try to make things, we don't want to share with you guys what's going on because we trying to keep our privacy. Here's the thing. The contract is that we have access to your situation. This is kind of like, because we talk all the time about this being a job, right? And like any job, if I get hired for any position, no matter what it is, if it's a ditch digger, a grocery store bag boy, a cart guy, the CEO of a company, right? What I'm selling when I get my paycheck, when I apply for that job, is essentially my time. my time, my experience, and my ability to complete a task that the person needs completed. That's what I'm selling, right? I'm not selling my soul. I'm not selling my body. I'm not selling my heart, my mind, my dreams, my inspirations. I am selling my time. That's why usually, and this is for most standard positions that we can get into other, types of jobs, but for most standard positions, this is why you work hourly because you're selling your time, right? And if I am and contractually bound to somebody that I'm going to show up from 9 to 5, and I'm going to allot those hours to this person, and in recompense, that person is going to give me little pieces of paper called money, then I have to show up for that time. I can't tell them I'm only going to show up at 12 o'clock. I ain't trying to come in early. I don't want to do anything when I get here. I just want to be able to leave at 3:30 because I don't feel like staying till 5. If I do all that, I'm going to get fired. And the reason I'm getting fired, amongst other things, being lazy and everything else, the reason I'm getting fired is because of breach of contract. They agreed to give me X amount of dollars for X amount of time. Now, with the Sister Wives cast, as well as the 90 Day Fiance cast, as well as the Unexpected cast, as well as many of the shows that are on TLC, which is moved from, in my opinion, they're moving from being a social, like a reality TV show platform to being a social media draw, because most of the people who apply for these positions are not interested in trying to reveal anything about their situations or talk about their lives or talk about their situations. What they want to do is put themselves in position so that people will look them up on Instagram, YouTube, or whatever the case may be, so that they can generate funds and money using the platform of the reality TV show, full stop. They're using the show as a springboard. Now, in return for that, I'm not even hating on them for that. But in return for that, you have to give the customer something. You have to give your customer base something. If they want to watch you live your life, or get access, because essentially that's what we're paying for. When you pay your TLC bill each month to watch a reality show, you're paying for access. Whether they like the term or not, it is what it is. You're paying for access. And if they turn around and say, you know what, I don't want to give you access because I don't like what you do with the access. I don't like how you talk about me. I don't like what you say. I don't like the things you post. I don't like the image that's being put out. That's fine. Then stop selling people the access. Because once you sell, like, this is the very real harsh reality. And I even say this when it comes to like sending pictures to people, new pictures to people and things like that. Once you send that out, that becomes their stuff. They can determine what they want to do with it. You may not like it, but it is what it is. When they put your information out and they record you, they package it, you don't have any decisions as far as how the package comes out and what the end product looks like. You're surprised, just as surprised as everybody else. And when they put it out, it's not your business anymore. And I'm saying this as a person who's been in front of the camera. I've been in roles. I've been in parts. I've had huge parts that have been condensed down because of time, because of subject matter, because of whatever reason, editing or whatever, where the parts have been reduced. But here's the thing. When you sign up for a part, how they edit the part is none of my damn business. It's not my business. My business, if you're hired, like specifically, if you're hired as on-air talent, you're hired as an actor, you're hired as a gaffer, whatever the hell you want to do, background talent, the number one on the call sheet, the star of the movie. Your job is in front of the camera is to give as much material as you possibly can to move the story forward so that you can do, that's your part of the job. How they decide to edit it, what they decide to leave in, take out, whatever the case may be, That's up to the production staff. That's up to the editor. That's up to the director. And that's up to the producers. That's none of your damn business. So for them to sit there and complain about like, oh, I don't like my edit. Well, then don't do the show. You don't like how you're being edited? Don't do the show. Especially, and here's the part of frustration for me. As I muddle through and struggle through the intricate term wilds of YouTube and trying to figure out how to move forward, even with my channel and what I should be doing on my shit, they have every opportunity to springboard well past me. If any one of them, the OG3, Robin and Cody, even their kids, they come out and just say, I'm going to do a YouTube channel, they'll hit 100,000 subscribers the next damn day. The next day. So if you don't like how you're being presented on TLC, stop fucking being lazy and set up your own channel. Discuss what you want to discuss the way you want to discuss it. I think to be honest with you, I think it's trifling and lazy. If you're going to sit there and complain about how you're being presented on a show, but then you don't want to do the little bit of legwork that's going to require for you to be able to put out your own content, when you have every opportunity to do so, that's on you. So when it comes to them sitting there crying, talking about editing, cry me a damn river. You can miss me with that bullshit. Because you and I both know, speaking directly to the cast, you and I both know that if you decided to put out a YouTube channel, you could make serious money on YouTube. You would far eclipse anything that I'm doing on YouTube. Anything that Sarah from Reality Squad, Katie Joy, anybody on here talking about you, you would shoot past us like a rocket in the night. And that's just on the financial end. But on the side where you're getting the story told that you want told, you want to explain things the way you want to explain them, you want to give more detail, more substance, you're sitting there complaining that we don't understand what's going on and we don't have the full knowledge. It's your fault that we don't have the full knowledge. I'm not even going to blame TLC because this ain't 1985. There's the internet now. There's social media now. And the same way, you can't say they old, they don't know nothing about that because they old and they grew up like the Amish in the wilderness because they was part of a cult. They have been on social media since social media started. All of them had Twitter accounts when this show started. They had Twitter accounts before I did. You know when I got my Twitter account? I got my Twitter account about a year ago, 2 years ago. I still don't go on that bullshit. It's not for me. Facebook. They're all over Facebook. Hell, they doing lives. Mary and Jen, best friend Jen, doing lives on Facebook. If you got something to say, you have a platform to say it on. So again, miss me with the, we've been so offended because we don't want to tell the truth because our story keeps getting misconstrued. That's your fault. So again, this is why I say, if they don't want to do the show, stop doing the show. But at the same time, I'm one of them people. If you sign up for a job and you say you're going to do a job, do the job. Stop half-assing it. Stop half-assing it. Get in there and do the job. If somebody's going to pay you to do something, you do the job you were contracted to do. If you feel like you can't do it, stop doing it. You feel like you don't want to do it no more, stop doing it. So, I mean, I get it. And I'm not even criticizing them because they don't want to be on a reality show. Because I've said it a million times and I say it a million more times. I would never sign up to do this show. I would never sign up to do this show. Hey, Mel, what's going on? How you doing? Notes to self in the house. What's happening? Yeah, I mean, because this shit is hard. Like, I'm not even gonna bullshit. Like, doing reality shows, it is hard. Because people will be in your business. I said it before. Like, I was always concerned with Christine doing it with her new marriage because reality shows have a way of tearing down a marriage. and it doesn't seem to be affecting their relationship, which is awesome. But reality shows have a way of tearing you up because it takes an argument, like for instance, it'll take an argument or disagreement or maybe a comment that David said that was like Christine didn't even get insulted by the comment. Like it's just something he said off cuff and the way they joke around, because everybody has like a thing in their relationship that if 90% of people heard how they talk to each other, they'd be like, oh my gosh, that's abuse. And this guy don't respect you at all, or she has no love for you. Oh, we need to get rid of her, right? They have that commentary, but it's a joke between them or something that's between them that is non-effectual. And when you're on a reality show, not only does it get played, but it can be played up, and then it can be turned into a weapon against the people. It can be turned into a weapon against you. So you're sitting there having an argument. Like if you have a disagreement, you say something wild, like people do sometimes in arguments. You say something you don't mean, or something that maybe you do mean and you shouldn't have said. And now all of a sudden, that's all people want to talk about. They don't even want to talk about what you were arguing about. They just talk about what you said. In which case, they'll spend the time when they air the show, they'll talk about it. Then you have to live through the aftermath of us discussing it on YouTube. Then you have to live through the aftermath of watching it again during the tell-all. Then that only sparks or reignites the fact that people are going to talk about it some more. So it could be detrimental to your relationship. So again, I like my relationships. I want to keep my relationships, and I wouldn't do a reality show for that reason. But at the same time, like if you don't want to do this, I understand. But if it's time to go, it's time to go. All right. And part of the struggle too is like they have to find a story, because that's part of it too. Like we like to pretend it's just basically documenting somebody's life, but that's not what a reality show is. There's a big difference between a documentary and a reality show. A reality show has to have a through line or a storyline which connects all the moving pieces. That's why I said in previous videos, somebody has to be the protagonist. There has to be protagonists. There has to be antagonists. These are fundamental, critical parts of any good storytelling. Like you have, like if you can name me one story where you don't have an antagonist and a protagonist, I would love to hear it, because to my knowledge, I've never heard. Let me take that back. I've never heard of a good story without an antagonist and a protagonist. Now, the antagonist and protagonist can take many forms, animals, nature, et cetera, et cetera. Time is a big one, but it has to be there. And in this case, I don't see where, even and I know this is going to sound, for some people, it's going to be rubbed like pro evildoers. But even with Cody and Robin, to be honest with you, they've been kind of castigated as the villains of the show. And in some cases, like you could point to things and be like, yeah, villains. But if we're going to be honest about it, what impact do they actually have now? And this goes back to what I was saying about when in the context of storytelling, what are the stakes? If Robin and Cody go out and blow all their money at the casino, that's how they used to say it back in the day. They go to casino and they blow all their money. That doesn't affect OG3 at all. Doesn't affect OG13 at all. Right? If they sit around and talk trash about the OG3, technically it doesn't really affect them because they're not with them anymore. So there's no real through line for there to really be a conflict or a struggle between antagonists and protagonists. It would just be them talking trash about each other. Lady D London said, if everybody's made up behind the scenes, why are we still mad? You know why? I'll give this as a perspective. This is my perspective. What happens during the Sister Wives storyline? What happens? What happens is if you have a friend or a relative and they're in a relationship and that relationship starts struggling or whatever, they like say your girlfriend, you find out your friend, your girlfriend, your homie, your buddy, dude was in a relationship with this person and they started cheating on them. Now, your friend, your homie, your buddy, your girlfriend may forgive their spouse, but you, as their friend, may not, right? If you find out somebody was at the crib and they got into an argument and then somebody during the course of the argument started getting handsy, started pushing and shoving and stuff, that person who's your friend may forgive their spouse and say, you know what, they was acting out of pocket, they was acting out of sorts, they had a lot going on, they were under a lot of stress, whatever excuse they make, and they may forgive them. You, on the other hand, is a friend, a relative, or whatever the case may be. If you see that person, it's on site. You catch them in the street, oh baby, it's on site. We moving furniture, right? You put your hands on my sister, you put your hand on my cousin, my mama, you're my aunt, what? It's on site. So, and no matter what your friends say, oh, he's so good, he's so nice. None of that matters, right? Right? Because you are not ready to forgive, and I think that's where a lot of the sister wife fandom is. Like the OG3, they have to forgive because realistically, I think that, and this is going to sound kind of sappy, but I think the OG3 have to forgive because they have to move on. Okay, you can't carry the kind of bitterness and anger, like just even talking to people about this. Wait, hold on one second. Lady D Letter said, James, my friend, aka the show, went back to him and is still on site. That's what I'm talking about. It's still on site. But you know, we're in a luxury position because I only have to really think about Cody or Robin or situations as much or as little as I want to. Right? It doesn't really inhabit my life or my effect. It certainly doesn't affect my life or my situation. Like my wife's not talking about leaving me because Cody did something stupid. Oh, you see what Cody did? I'm leaving your ass. Like that's not a thing. So it doesn't affect me or impact me. So I can be as mad. Like I have no throttle. I have no gauge or limit to how mad or angry I can be about things I see on television because it doesn't affect me. When you're talking about the OG3, whether we like it or not, and whether we appreciate it or not, on some level, in order to maintain a certain level of civility towards these individuals who they're going to have to interact with at some point, you know what I mean? They have to forgive Cody and Robin. They have to let some of it go. They have to, because it'll just poison their lives. So from that respect, I understand why they have to let them go. Now I'm going to just put a little asterisk next to that. I think that you have to forgive, but you never forget. Let me say that one more again. I think you can forgive, but you don't have to ever forget how they treated you, how they made you feel, how they slighted your children, how they did this or did that. You don't ever have to forget that. You can log that away. We are complex human beings. We can do two things at once. It's not, oh, you have to forgive and forget and pretend like it never happened. No. What I have to do is I have to treat you with a certain modicum of respect and cordiality so that way we're able to get together at family functions and things that have nothing to do with us. So for instance, if you're going to a graduation, your kids have kids and your grandkids start graduating from school and they start hitting milestone in life events, your kids start hitting milestone in life events, they start relationships, get married, they start having children, those kids start going through things. These are all things that as a parent and as a grandparent, you want to be a part of. And so the easiest way for you to be a part of those things is for you not to have hostile or distracting relationships where you're going to your kid's graduation or you're going to your grandchild's baptism or first day of school, and it devolves into you having a shout out match with your ex because they're there too, right? Because that only discourages them from inviting you back to those events, because that will become a consideration. And if you're a parent or a grandparent, you don't want your kids to have to make that evaluation on, well, should we invite mom or dad? Or should we take the risk and invite both? Or maybe because I don't want to offend either, maybe we should invite neither. So you have to be able, in order for you to be able to exist in those spaces, you have to be able to get yourself around into a position where you can forgive, but not forget. You can be cordial. You can deal with them. Hell, hi, bye, how you doing? How's everything? Nod your head 3 times and walk off. But I think that that's part of what we would have to be able to see. Now, when I say all that, and how does that play to reality TV? It doesn't. Because what I'm talking about is forced situations or forced interactions through social planes of existence. That's what I'm talking about. So if you're going, like, if your kid, like, for instance, when Logan got married, I don't like throwing people business out, but if just as a for instance, when he was married, they weren't all together. They all showed up. You be polite, you be nice, you go out and dance, you dance. You don't even have to really interact with each other. They just like relatives that you see at a wedding or a funeral that you don't like. You wave to them, hey, how you doing? Nod your head 3 times and keep it pushing. But you don't create a scenario where you turn the ceremony or this life-changing event into a platform or a forum for your argument. That's not fair to you, and it's certainly not fair to your kids. And so that there's a distinct difference between that, like going to Logan's wedding, as a for instance, I don't like talking about people's business who ain't on the show, and going on vacation. Them going on vacation to me would be an absurdity. Cody Robin, the OG3, Mary Christine Janelle, all getting together, going on vacation would be absurd. There's absolutely no universe in which that would be even feasible, because that takes it from you guys trying to be cordial with each other to the reality of you actually undermining any ability you have to be cordial with each other. It's too much opportunity for somebody to say something or do something dumb that's going to spiral a relationship. I think it would be, not only is it just impractical, I think it's stupid. I think it's too risky. You know, somebody get too comfortable, say something wild, and you be like, what? And just start dropping bombs. You know what I mean? But you forgive, and this is something we all kind of talk about. And I'm not telling anybody anything new. Maybe the one person who needs to hear this for the first time, or maybe just be reminded of it, I'll just say it now. You know, when you forgive people in these types of situations, you're not forgiving them for their sake. You're forgiving them so that you can move on. You're letting it go so you can move on, so it doesn't obsess your life, so it doesn't impact your life, so it doesn't hinder the things that you have going on. That's why you forgive. It's a letting go. I'm no longer, because when you let go that way, here's the thing. What you're doing is you're taking away that other person's power. You're taking their power away. See, because before, when they do things, they say things, and you're so tied up into what they doing and how they said it and what they talking about and who they talking to, and oh, they talking bad about me. I know they talking about me. You're so tied up into that you can't see anything else around you. You can't see your blessings because you're too busy trying to block their blessings. You're so busy trying to make sure they have a negative outcome, you don't ensure that you're going to have a positive outcome, because you're trying to stop them from being happy. And then when you get into the realm of you trying to stop somebody from being happy, what happens 9 times out of 10? You start living in a place of misery. You start crawling down into the gutters, into the low lives of society, dregs of society. You start tearing yourself down because you're trying to find how this person's going to get tripped up. And the crazy thing is, Medgar Evers had this saying. He said that there are 2 kinds of people who you hate. There's 2 types of people who you hate. The first type of people don't know you hate them. And they just walking through their life completely oblivious to the fact that you angry with them and that you mad at them and that you hoping for their downfall and all that. They live in their life. The second group of people, they know you hate them and they don't care. They know you hate their ass and they don't care. They still live in their life. In fact, they cherish the fact that you hate them. They cherish the fact that you spending all your time, all your head muscle, all your memory, all your energy trying to tear them down and find a bad way for them to live their life. They love it. So one person, you're feeding them energy and they have no idea you're feeding them energy. The other person, you're feeding them energy and they coming back for seconds and thirds. And none of that is moving you forward as a person. None of that is making you better. And that's why when you hear people say, because I know there's some people like, I ain't never gonna forgive them. I'll never forgive. I'll never. That's why so many people suggest that you forgive. Because it's not for them, it's for you. Because Christine, Mary, and Janelle could be mad at Robin and Cody all day. Do you think, let me ask you a question. This is something I posed to a caller the other day. The one statement, you can't shame the shameless. Do you think Robin and Cody give a shit that Christine, Mary, and Janelle are upset? Do you think they care? When they had access to the bank account, you think they didn't realize that if these women find out we spending all their money, they gonna be mad as hell? Do you think did that stop them from spending the money? It did not. Did that stop them from screwing them over as far as the real estate holdings were concerned? It did not. So I don't care when I'm doing it. You know I don't give a shit after I did it. You could be as mad as you want. I anticipated you being mad. I knew you were going to be angry when I did it. And I was prepared for you to be angry. So you sitting there mad and looking like you sucking on lemons, it doesn't change any, like, you know what I mean? And if you listen to Cody and Robin, when they do their interviews, they cherish the fact that Christine, Mary, and Janelle have comments about them. There's a pompous attitude that they turn around and say, oh, they always talking about us. They always got their mouth wrapped around my name. My name must be delicious because it's always in their damn mouth. Every time I turn around, they talk about what I'm doing because I am important. I'm not focused on them. They focused on me. I'm the center of their lives. That's why Cody can go to those little Apollo lives and sit there and talk about, oh, they need to forgive me so they can move on with their lives. Because at that point, what he's actually saying is, I'm still the center of their universe. And he's relishing the fact that they're still angry. And that's why I say the best revenge, and this isn't me, this is Confucius actually. The best revenge is living well. Let me say that one more time for the people in the cheap seats. The best revenge is living well. If the OG3 want to hurt Cody and Robin, don't focus on trying to bring about their downfall. Karma and nature will do its thing. Okay? You focus on making your life better. If you want to hurt them, make your life better. Find happiness for yourself. You know why? Because let's be petty about this. Let's think about it in petty terms. If you're with somebody for 5 years, you poured everything you had into them, you helped them through school and everything, they graduate, they dump your ass, and they move on to somebody else, and they they new little slinky dinky rinky, walk around with that little tight black dress, little fine thing, right? And that's who they left you for. When they catch up with you in 5 years, if you're still sitting around crying about how they left you and how your life ain't never been the same since they left, do you think they feel bad that they left? Do you think they look at, oh no, I ruined that person's life? Or do you think they look at it and say, thank goodness I left? Thank goodness I left, because they never moved on. They're still stuck. Still in the same position they were in when I left them. I was the one dragging them along. They propped themselves up. Same situation. They catch up with you, they leave you, for that barrel-chested, thick-armed, handsome, rock-jaw, rugged man just walking around with a tank top and a lumberjack shirt tied around his waist for no reason, just because he out there showing the gun show, right? Handsome man. That's what they call him down at the church. Here comes handsome man, right? And your wife done left you for that dude. When she come back, and you have your stuff together and you walking around and you happy, and maybe you now have a new lady and you're treating that lady happy, and you guys seem like you're happy and you're living your life, they're not going to be happy. And you look like you moved on. Hell, you doing better now that they going, now that you cut that dead weight. That's going to break their heart. That's going to break their damn heart. I'm telling you. Worst thing Christine did to Cody was when she went out and got married. Because it was a signal, not only is the relationship over, but she's not worried about Cody. Part of the reason why Cody didn't want to sit there and talk to David and hear David's perspective, because Cody refuses to recognize that Christine might have married a man who's successful, he's intelligent, and he has an opinion. That's why Cody was like, I don't really want to hear what he got to say. I bet you don't. Because what you want to hear Christine do is cry about how he left, cry about how he wasn't spending time with her, cry about how he's not coming by knocking them boots off anymore. That's what you want. That's what Cody wants. He wants to be able to float back into somebody's life. His relationship with Janelle, the reason why I think it strikes people so hard is because what we're watching is when he floats back into Janelle's life, she's so excited to see him. She's so happy and so agreeable. And it puts us in mind that Cody was living off of that moment because it showed him how important he was to her. And when he walked out of that meeting, you can't tell me my man wasn't thinking, yeah, I could get that if I wanted it. It's just a matter of whether I want it or not. Do I really want to put up with the bullshit to get it? Not really. Do I have any interest in trying to get it? Not really. But I could get it if I want it. And that's all he's looking for sometimes. Sometimes, and that's the weird thing about it too. We go back to basics. Like even with the friend zone crap, like, when you're a kid, like people put you in a friend zone because they don't want to tell you they don't want to be with you. And they put you in the friend zone. Even with that friend zone stuff, let's keep it all the way above. The part of what makes the friend zone so detrimental and dangerous emotionally is that in most cases you have one party who is interested in being more than friends and the other party is not interested in being more than friends. And even beyond not interested in being more than friends, deep down they like the fact that they could break that glass if needed. Break in case of emergency. They got Jimmy in the glass. They got Ponga Ponga in the glass. Break it if you need it. If it's a lonely night and things ain't going right, you can go ahead and break that glass and you have a partner for the evening. Right? And they like that fact. They like the fact that a lot of times when you have the friends, the friend zone people, the people who are in the friend zone unwillingly because they like the person, they're trying to audition to be that person's boyfriend or girlfriend. So they're doing all the boyfriend benefits. Like you get all the boyfriend/girlfriend benefits without having to do the boyfriend and girlfriend responsibilities. So they take you, to cancel dinner. They come pick you up or take you to do stuff and things like that. And with a big smile on their face, they're the most romantic people in the world because they're trying to establish that there's something that, the other person. But the person who is the source of attraction, they love the fact that, this person would do anything for them. Oh, he's so nice. Our relationship is so great. Yeah, because he's still auditioning. He's on his best behavior at all times. That's, you ain't even really friends with him. You're friends with his best representative. And that's where I think Cody is. Like, it's not the fact that he wants these other women. He just wants the women to want him. And that's what I think we were watching when we were watching the whole Janelle thing. What's this? Lady D London said, I'm sorry, but some of that fawning from Janelle was annoying to watch. Just like that grown that won't leave the bad guy. That girl won't leave the bad guy. Yeah, yeah. Well, because I mean, if you get used to being treated a certain kind of way, you're kind of in it. What's this? Yeah, but somebody said, a lady said that's narcissistic love. Yeah, I mean, at the root of it, if we say that he's narcissistic or even just selfish, the truth of the matter is that the way their relationships were contrived and designed, it was designed to feed his emotions. It was designed to build him up. And there will always be a part of him when he thinks back to those relationships. This is the key part. When the wives look at the relationships, they look at how Cody interacted with them and how he interacted with their kids. And that's where they get the whole he was a good man, he was a good father bullshit. Right? When he looks at it, and this is the part that I think that, this is some this is the epiphany I had. Well, I guess now is many years ago, but I was a good adult when I figured this out. How you remember things or how you remember things, that's your perspective. But how that other person, you have no control and no bearing on how that other person remembers things. So when Cody, what Christine, Mary, and Janelle may celebrate is they felt like when they were with Cody, he was in love with them. He was in love with their kids. He was paying attention to them. It was a wonderful situation. Cody may look back on that and say, you know what? What was special to me about that time? Everybody in my circle worshiped me. Everybody in my circle begged me for time, begged me for attention, begged me to spend money on them and resources on them. They were looking to me for the answers. That's the part of the relationship that I miss. I don't miss hanging out with these kids, these little crumb crushers. I don't miss hanging out with these women getting complained to and yelled at and them always constant complaining. What I miss is the more simpler time when they all looked at me for answers. We were struggling. They had to ask me for permission. They had to ask me for what I thought. They cared about my position more than they cared about their own. That's the part of the relationship that I miss. It's the same thing, like to break it down more simply. It's like somebody saying, oh, I used to date a man. I used to love cooking for him and showing that love because to me, how I make and prepare meals is my love affair for that person. Whereas that person who they were doing all this for, making all those sacrifices for, may look at it like, you know what? They made the most delicious steak sandwiches ever. Their mashed potatoes were incredible. That's what I miss about them. Do you miss the love and companionship? No, I miss those warm chocolate chip cookies. She had the most delicious recipe. How you remember things isn't how other people necessarily remember them. And just because it's nostalgic to you doesn't necessarily mean it's nostalgic to him. They may look back on it and say, you know what, that was a special time between me and Cody, and that's the time that I cherish and all that. He may look at it and say, you know, we was broke as a joke. We were trying to figure it out, and I didn't really even forget love. I didn't even like these people. I was stuck in these relationships because we were surviving together. We weren't living or thriving together. We were surviving together. And so, no, would you go back? Hell no. And I know that shit sound cold as hell. But I just think that's the way it is. Like, bruh, that's the way it is. And I think that we do ourselves a disservice if we try to turn relationships into something. If we appreciate an experience we have with somebody in a relationship, that's fantastic for us. We can grow on it. We can develop on it. It's for us. Where we make our mistake is we try to transpose our experience onto other people and force them to experience the thing and appreciate the thing the same way we experienced it and have the same love, adoration, and remembrance for a thing that we have. They're going to have their own perspective, their own positions. You know, you and your husband or wife, when you first get together, you move into a small bedroom apartment, and you may look at it and be like, you know what, that was a time when we relied on each other. It was so cozy. It was our little special space. Your spouse may look at that time and say, you know what, it was too much damn struggling. I was worried all the time. I was scared. We couldn't do anything. I ain't have room to breathe. Every time I turn around, I see I love my wife, but I turn around and see her sitting there smiling at me, grinning and shit. And I'm like, what the hell you smiling about? She's like, that's when I realized that he's the man I was always going to love. He was talking about, I was about to get a divorce. I was about to get a divorce because I couldn't stand being that close to anybody. Like, it's just, you can't control how people see things. And just because it's special to you doesn't mean it's necessarily special to them. So I just think that, like, as they expand, they explore, they unpack, they heal. I think it gets to a point where they have to, like, reality shows have to start being more real. Just bottom line, they have to start being more real. Like, so this whole, like, oh, we're gonna get back together, get the band back together. Like, y'all not the Beatles. This ain't the Rolling Stones. You understand what I mean? Y'all ain't Metallica after a bad argument. We need to get the band back together so we can go on tour. No, no, no. These are relationships. Sometimes the best example you have for a relationship is to learn how to let the shit go. Put it down and move on. Was this James? I'm starting a season rewatch on Monday. Oh, good luck with that. I need to go back and watch again because I've been so jaded this season. I know I missed a lot of details. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm curious. I'm not even going to say that. I'm curious what you're going to see, Mama Celeste. I'm curious what you're going to see. Because while I was watching it, I watch a lot of these episodes, especially because, content creation. I watch a lot of these episodes multiple times sometimes, right? I used to watch them like maybe 2-3 times. Like, so I watch it the night of, and then I would do my first reaction. And then in preparation for the show with Sarah, I might watch it a second time. And in order to do videos, I might have to segment or parse it out. So I was watching the shows at least 3 times, I guess, a week. Each one of the episodes like 3 times a week. This season, there was nothing really to talk about. Like, so I noticed that I would get through it one time, and in some cases, I would even go back and watch it a second time because it was worthless. It just felt like what I referred to before as a filler episode. But I could be wrong. And maybe me looking for the big thing, maybe I missed some stuff too. So let me know what you discover, Mama Celeste. Maybe you'll educate us all. Um, what's this? James Garworld is too real. Careful what you wish for. After Foodie pooped on live stream last week, I came running back to Sister Wives. I have no idea who these people are. I gotta check it out. I have no idea who these people are. What's this? Lady D said, I can't be more mad about their situation than they are. I'm over it. They can all get married again and I don't care anymore. Yeah, and that's one of the things too, is that it that's one of the slaps in the face that I think that a lot of the fan base has experienced as they talk about it. And to their credit, to their discredit, the cast members, the OG3, have been very resident. Have been very resident. Damn, I'm saying that wrong. Have been very quick to say that Cody's a good guy and try to smooth things over and make them feel better about a situation. And I think for many of the people, it's a slap in the face because you have fans who are going to the mat arguing about how these women were mistreated, how they were done wrong, only to have them turn around and be like, he wasn't that bad of a guy. And they feel like fools because, like, how am I going to sit up here and be this, spitting mad about your situation, and you're telling me that it's not that bad. Don't worry about it, you know. And I think that's kind of where a lot of that, because Lady D, I don't think is alone in that, you know. I think that's just kind of the way it kind of worked out. Karma Kitty said, I'm not gonna lie. I was falling asleep during season 20 weekly episodes. I have to rewatch it on my way to work and would still miss stuff, making me watch it a third time. Yeah, that's how they was making their money. That's probably why they think the show's still working. Because you had fans who were like falling asleep and they would go back and try to watch it out of loyalty because, you know, they tune into like YouTube channels. They want to be able to participate in the conversations and discussions about things that have happened on the show. Or you just have people who have natural curiosities because they watch a show and be like, you know, maybe I just was sleepy and stuff. But that only works so much because if you notice, like I've had shows that, especially with so many shows on cable now, I've had shows where I started watching seasons and those seasons are incomplete in my queue. Like every now and again, I'll pass the show, be like, yeah, I was watching this, but it was kind of dry. And there's too much content. And this is one of the challenges. Like, I think this is what actually is going to be the death knell of Sister Wives and some of the other programs that they put on TLC is that there's just frankly too much content. At the time when TLC, like Sister Wives came out in a sweet spot because it was like right at the beginning of the explosion of cable networks, right when cable shows had started producing their own shows. And there wasn't a whole lot of networks available at the time. There weren't a whole lot of shows available at the time. And Sister Wives were able to capitalize on that. That's how they were able to get the popularity that they had because they weren't on major networks, NBC, ABC, CBS, even Fox, UPN, WB, none of that. They weren't on any of those big platforms. They were on like a TLC, which was equivalent to USA, which was equivalent to a FX, you know, those type of channels, right? You could get with basic cable. But now, not only do you have cable networks who are coming out with their own content, you have streaming networks who have hella content. And not only are, like, for instance, not only are streaming networks, you know, producing insane content, insane amount of content, they're using A-list actors to produce their streaming network shows. Like, for instance, Sylvester Stallone with Tulsa King. You just had uh Denzel Washington do a movie with Apple. You had Brad Pitt and a new dude do a F1 with Apple. You had Brad Pitt, George Clooney do a movie with Apple. You had Netflix always has comedians, always have new shows. They had Henry Cavill from Superman doing a show, Witcher. You know, so they have like original programs, and there's just tons and tons and tons of content out there that the Sister Wives program has to compete with. And if you're falling asleep watching Sister Wives, you're spending an hour a week falling asleep watching Sister Wives. Why am I going to fall asleep watching a show that, you know, is basically night time when I could spend that same hour and watch a show that's been in my queue for 3-4 months? Because I have, like, literally, I probably have between the stuff that I subscribe to for my kids and everything else, like the streaming platforms and all that, I probably have, like, I want to say about 50, maybe 100, 200 shows that I or movies that I checked off and put on my list to watch. So my question is, why would I watch a show that's poorly scripted when I could watch a show that's actually interesting? And that's the challenge that they're going to have. It's about maintaining and holding attention. You understand what I mean? So I think I think Carmel Cuties makes a good point. You know? And here's another piece of good advice from Carmel Cuties. It definitely piqued viewers' interest when they were able to watch Sister Wives on Sunday night. I think they lost viewers once they moved it to seeing Sunday's episode on Monday afternoon or nights. Yeah, I think it hurt viewers because look, here's the thing. And I'm not trying to say I'm cheap, but I'm frugal, right? if I've spent my time getting something for free, it's hard for me to get my mind around paying for something I've been getting for free. Right? If I pay $10 or $12 for Discovery Plus, and I could watch Sister Wives. Sister Wives drops on Sunday. I could wake up Sunday morning at whatever time, and then turn on the TV at 10 a.m. and I could watch that episode of Sister Wives on Sunday when it drops, the day it drops. Then I get used to that. Then the show starts. Not only does the show start to decline as far as quality is concerned, as far as interest is concerned, but they turn around and tell me that, oh, in order for you to watch the show on Sunday, you can only watch it at 10 o'clock at night. So forget your whole day. Fuck your day. And you're going to have to pay us a premium fund, additional money for the privilege of being able to watch it on Sunday. Whether the show is good or bad or indifferent, the customer base is going to feel slighted by that. Maybe not outwardly slighted or pissed off, but that's a slight. Like 1 minute I could watch it at 10 a.m. on Sunday at my leisure. Now all of a sudden I can't watch it at all unless I pay top dollar to watch it. What am I doing? And then you're not even putting out the content isn't even as good. This is actually this is, in my opinion, this is very equivalent to shrinkflation. You understand what I mean? Like when you go to, like, guys, look, I'm gonna tell you, I'm a little more advanced than some of you. Some of you are going to know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm a Gen Xer, right? When I was a kid, if you went to McDonald's, say, or Burger King, their hamburgers were about the size of your damn head. Okay? Them hamburgers were huge. Like the Big Mac, the Whopper, those were big ass sandwiches. And I think that at the time, I think they were they were closer to like $1.50. But we've hit a time now in 2026, the Whopper is about the size of what used to be a regular hamburger. The Big Mac is just basically two of their hamburger patties in between three pieces of bread, which is a small ass sandwich. And in both cases, they're charging upwards to $5 to $6 for these hamburgers that aren't even as good as they used to be. These hamburgers used to be decent. They weren't Five Guys or some shit, but they were decent hamburgers, right? You could actually eat these hamburgers. As an adult, you could go and probably get a hamburger and fries. Hey, fries was killer with the beef tallow. Yeah, them shits was killer. Where they were killing you, but they were delicious, right? Now everything you get is overpriced and small. I grew up in the Philadelphia area. We had Twinkies, the cakes and shit, the Twinkies, tasty cakes. Those cakes was huge. You spend 79 cents, 50 cents for like a coffee cake or a crimpet, butterscotch crimpet. Them things were gigantic. They're about the size of like almost as big as my hand. Now you get them things. There was 3 of them in the pack. They were about 4 inches long, about 2 inches wide. There was 3 of them. Now you paying like $2 for that same pack. There's 3 of them, but they're about the size of my individual fingers. I'm saying, them things say about a ½ inch across. Like, it's crazy. You go to get a bag of chips. Chips are $5 a bag. $5 a bag. What? $5 for a big bag of chips. You open up the bag and half of the you only got a quarter of the bag is full of chips. Shrinkflation. Right? And I think it feels like that watching this show. Like they started out, it was action packed. They had a whole bunch of stuff going on, a lot of controversy and things to talk about during the show. Now it's like you're paying top dollar to watch them, have stupid conversations. It's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, let me get to the speak pipes because I prattled on long enough, I guess. An hour in. Yeah, but let me go to Jody Periscala. Jody Periscala with a $4.99 super chat. I think you did a book review with Senior Perspective. Looking forward now, what are your thoughts? I read huge red flags. Yeah, you know what? I did a book report on the first, well, actually, is a book club on the first book, Becoming Sister Wives, that was constructed or at least influenced, if not, um, they work with a writer. I think they work with a writer to get it done. But I read that first book, and it shows it was a lot of reading between the lines, because a lot of the things that we discovered later on were already in the book, and it were things that they were saying that actually align more with the actuality or reality of their situation than it did with the projected or pretend version of how they put things out, like the flowery version of, oh, we all love each other and we just can't deal without each other and we want to see what's best for each other, and I love the kids and it's all about the children because we're one big family. Like, if you really read the book, you would see that a lot of that stuff just didn't make sense, you know. So I think that as they move forward, they have to be careful. Like, because I know Marion wants to come out with a book, Christine wants to come out with a book. There's a balance that they have to strike, though. And this is where, and this is actually kind of where my channel is. They have to make choices. And I think that the choices that they have to make are going to be hard choices. And I can't tell them what to do or how to react, because I'm, even now I'm figuring it out, even for my stuff. So I can't give them any guidance on it. But it's just, I understand that the reality of their choices are their fan base wants to hear about their relationship with Cody, where they are now, how they feel now, and more importantly, they want to hear about the healing process. They want to hear about what they actually went through. They want confirmation on what they actually went through, what they actually did to heal that situation, and what they're doing currently to continue that process of getting through that bad situation. If the wives take a position that they no longer want to talk about it, and or more to the point, they only want to focus on the healing part and how great their lives are now, I don't think that that's going to play as well. And I'm just being, just my perspective. They take it, leave it, whatever. It is what it is. Like, if Mary comes out with a book and she talks about how wonderful her life is and how great her life is, I don't think that's going to play as well. I just don't. I don't think it's going to do the kind of number she thinks. Because part of that hero's journey is, and this is every good movie. Like, if you watch any good movie, there's always a point where the hero could lose. And that sets the stage for the villain to become greater than they are. And then that way, when the hero rises up and elevates themselves to defeat the protagonist or the antagonist, then that seems more like an accomplishment. As a, for instance, sci-fi nerd, right? When I was a kid, there was a little movie project called Star Wars. And the hero, it started actually, for those who know, if you know, Star Wars, the first movie is called The New Hope. That's the one that came out in the 70s. When The New Hope came out, that's actually the fourth movie of the series, right? We didn't know that. But when we watched it, in the fourth movie, the protagonist was a guy named Luke Skywalker with the laser sword, lightsaber. The antagonist, so we thought, was Darth Vader, right? And then later we find out it was the Emperor behind the Darth Vader pulling all the strings, right? Luke Skywalker in the first movie, he didn't even fight. As a protagonist, he didn't even fight the antagonist Darth Vader. His teacher fought the which is crazy. His teacher fought Darth Vader and lost. So his teacher fought Darth Vader and lost. He watched his teacher get slumped by the antagonist. Then he ran away. The second movie, Luke learned some stuff. He go with Yoda, run through the woods, do some backflips and shit. He like, I'm ready, Yoda. Yoda like, no, man, you gonna get killed because Darth Vader ain't no joke. He already knocked off all your family. This dude ain't playing. No, man, shut up, son. You don't know what you talk about, you little green head babby. Bald head bastard. I'm out of here. He jumped in his little spaceship. He go fight Darth Vader. Darth Vader not only beat his ass, he cut his hand off and told him he was his daddy. Right. I'm your daddy. Who's your daddy? Cut his hand off. Look out. Luke had to run away again. Right. And it wasn't until the third movie, 6 hours later of film, that Luke Skywalker was able to beat his father or beat the antagonist. Right. And because of that hero's journey, we watched him lose the entire time. So when part of the reason why Darth Vader has become the pinnacle of villains in modern film history is because of the struggle it took for Luke to overcome that obstacle, that conflict, that battle between the antagonist and the protagonist. It's the struggle that made Luke Skywalker, and more importantly, Darth Vader. Now, if Luke were to show up and we would have fast forwarded from like New Hope, Star Wars, then all of a sudden we jump a whole movie. Luke goes away, learns some kung fu, does some flips, practice beating up plates, busting up vases and stuff, and he come back and he whips Darth Vader's ass by the second movie, or even the first half of the first movie. There's no struggle because clearly Darth Vader isn't as bad as he was projected to be. How does this apply to Sister Wives? If Mary Christine or Janelle come out with a book and we watch them struggle and stuff during the course of Sister Wives, but then they come out with a book and say, I'm no longer going to talk about any of that stuff. I'm not going to address it. I'm just winning. So you went from like severe losing to all of a sudden you're winning. Maybe you weren't struggling that much. Maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe what Cody and Robin did to you, especially because you have such warm and kind words for them now, maybe what they did to you wasn't as harmful as I thought it was. Maybe you were going along with it. Maybe you agreed with it. Maybe this is something you're okay with. And I think that that's where it takes away from their story. I think that that's where it becomes more like when you look at them talking about like we're going to come out with these self-help books, you went from pain to healed. You went from like straight struggling to all of a sudden everything is okay. But we're missing huge chunks of it. And to be honest with you, if you're talking about self-help, it's the part of your recovery that people who need recovery or people who are in recovery need to hear about. That people who are struggling in life or with issues or circumstances, they are surrounded by people who are doing better than them. Everywhere they look, everybody around them, as far as they're concerned, is doing better than them. They don't find a kinship with those people because they're not in that space. Where they find kinship and healing is understanding that, okay, fine, even though you're not in the same place or position I am right now, I see where you came from. I see your struggles. I understand that I'm where you were 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I'm in that place. I want to learn and develop so I can be where you are. But I see that you were in that place. If that person who has healed and has developed and has gotten better is no longer sharing that part where they struggle and they go right from the pain to healed, then the people they're talking about don't have a hinge point where they could feel that connection with you. And I think that's where they're going to lose a lot of their audience, in my perspective. Then again, I'm just a guy who's struggling on YouTube. They don't have to listen to me. They ain't gotta listen to me. You know, I'm just a dude talking shit to a microphone on YouTube. So I just think that that's where, like, if they want to be successful in that space, I think that that's part of it. You know, if you go to a, like, I mean, just even a basic format of because I was just watching Blacklist, they had this on the show. If you watch on a basic format of like NA or AA, they don't have meetings and people show up and be like, yeah, you know, I was doing this, that, and other, and I was selling myself, and it was terrible, but I'm better now. If that was the message in any one of those meetings, nobody would show up. Because I don't need to be around better. I need to be around people who are going through what I'm going through and understand what I'm going through. And that's where the sister wives, a lot of the people who have bonded themselves to sister wives, I think that's the root of it. That's where they come from. I think that part of the reason why people defend Christine, Mary, and Janelle as vociferously as they do, fiercely as they do, is because they see themselves in these women. So even I noticed that even if I criticize the OG3, people aren't mad that I'm criticizing OG3 because they love and they adore the OG3. They feel a certain way about me criticizing OG3 because they themselves feel like I'm criticizing them because they've over-identified and to some part imprinted some of their experiences and their relationships onto the OG3. And so therefore, when I talk about like Christine, Mary, Janelle, and what they could have done different or how they could have did it, then all of a sudden they feel like I'm talking about them and their situation. So they defend it. Right? And they feel that allegiance. But if you're not going to talk about, like, if you're going to break that cycle, and this is where they're losing people, I think that when you're breaking that cycle, you're saying that if I'm in a bad relationship and I'm healing from that bad relationship, and I recognize that, and I'm dealing with it, and I say, oh, you know, Christine knows what I'm talking about because she was in a similar situation, and she comes out and basically says, no, I'm not. Then Christine is no longer my avatar. She's no longer my person in that regard. And so I disassociate from her. I disconnect from her because she's not vanguarding my position any longer. She's not representing my position. And if she's not representing my position because, you know, she gets along with her ex and I don't, then we have nothing in common, and people will start breaking away because of that. People will not buy their books because of that. I think that that's one of the challenges that they have to balance. But thank you so much, Jody Pierce. Scott, let me give you a little something, something. Yep. Parasocial toxic relationships. All right. Okay, Ty. I see you. She gonna drop the terms on us. I could have said that. James, I could have said that same thing in 4 words. Thank you, Ty. Appreciate you. That's awesome. See, James, I got you. 4 words. Paratoxic relationship. Oh man. Was this hell? If they know what's best for them, they want to talk to and listen to and fully hear the man on YouTube. I'm just saying. Thank you so much, Carbo Kitties. They ain't gonna listen to me though. Like, who this small fish James? My take on what? But yeah, let's get to the SpeakPipes. I won't hold you guys. I guess I've been holding you, but let's get to the SpeakPipes. First up, we have Maria called in.
Hi, James. My name's Maria, or you see me online as Meek0789. I've been a long time watcher of yours, Like, I've been watching you since way, way back in the day, like when you was in a blue shirt, before you had like the background or whatnot. Like, I'm not hating, not hating. But I started watching you uh about 3 years ago, I think. I had a brain aneurysm in the hospital. And I've always been into
Mm.
the Sister Wives content, and I started watching you, and I just want to let you know, like, I love your channel. I love your show. I love the My Take family. Like, you guys speak truth. Um, and just like a lot of your videos and stuff, and just like a lot of personal things I'm going through in my life right now as a 37-year-old woman, just trying to grow and mature. Like, you've helped me out. The My Take fam has helped me out, whether you guys realize it or not. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I want you to keep the show going. I'm very interested in your points of view and other points of view people have as well. I'm a lifelong learner, critical thinker, so it's like I feel like this channel is more than just Sister Wives. It goes more, ties into everyday people's everyday lives.
Well, thank you, Maria. I appreciate that. And in light of what Maria said, I appreciate the encouragement. Because as I'm trying to navigate like the closing of one door and entering another room or arena and trying to decide how I'm going to move forward, like the your guys' perspectives do help me and assist me in that realm. Like between like Carmel Cuties, Ty, Jody Periscala, Lizzie B, like Brittany, not Brittany, like talking to folks and even expressing how important something that was taken away from the channel, but at the same time, like there's a point where when I wasn't feeling well, you start thinking about things, and there's a point of legacy, right? What are you leaving behind? And as I thought about the whole idea of legacy and what I'm contributing to this, like I did come to some decisions as far as like how I would move the channel forward. And irregardless of how some of these things were perceived, like I did plan on reincorporating and reintroducing some of the concepts I had as far as like my positions on relationships and work experience, things of that nature, because these are things that people were kind of drawing from outside of our discussions with Sister Wives. And when rubber meets the road, when this show is gone, I do want to try to establish something that will last beyond this show that somebody can look at, and maybe not in great numbers, you but somebody could look at and maybe it'll hit their file at a time when they need it to be able to move forward. Because it's a lofty goal to want to help everybody, but at the end of the day, if I can make a substantial impact in one person's life, then I may never know it, but if I can do that, then I'd rather do that. So we're gonna ride it to even if I hate to say it, but even if the channel goes away at a dodo, I'm going to try my best to make it as impactful as I possibly can. If I'm going to go out, as as they say, if I'm going to go out, I'm gonna go out on my terms, right? I'm gonna go out the way I want to go out, being me. So it is what it is. So thank you very much for that, Maria. I appreciate you. Let me go to Maria too.
Hi, James. So sorry, it's Maria again. It cut off early. I just wanted to, kind of segue, into the Sister Wives. And, I've been a long, long time watcher. And I will say and I'm just going to put it out there. So you can play this on YouTube, but my mouth be mouthing sometimes. So if it's too inappropriate
Mm.
and you don't want to play the whole thing, I totally understand. But what has really got me with Christine and the Sister Wives, especially, I read her book. I have the book. I, listened to the audiobook and read it. The way that Cody treated her, he dogged her. He
Mm.
straight up dogged her. And just the indoctrination from, polygamy, they thought it was okay. Okay, but fast forward, now they on TV talking about Cody was a good man. Was he though, Christine? Because he treated you like the gum on the bottom of his motherfucking shoe. Quit sticking up for that bald head bitch. Sorry. I'm so sorry. And I know I gotta, I'm healing myself too because I was married to someone that was a lot like Cody. So he triggers me.
Well, actually, that's one of the points I was making earlier. Is that sometimes you link on to people because they remind you of yourself, and so I do like the impression though. Cody was a good man, and I think that it's easy when you're, I don't know why. Yeah, I guess maybe that's something that they threw in there because of the court case. But Christine was the only one who was really fighting a court case. But both Mary and Janelle took turns saying how good a man Cody was. So I mean that's part of it too. Yeah, it's antithetical to what we've seen on TV. And again, this does speak to the fact that these women have relationships with Cody and Robin outside of the TV show. So they could have experienced conversations or situations where they may look at it and have a more favorable view of Cody, where we're kind of stuck in the echo chamber of only watching the last thing that was filmed. So we're not privy to the conversation or maybe the kindness that Cody or Robin may have shown them at some point. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just saying. But yeah, it's a hard swallow because I think that this is where it behooves everybody to put things into context when they're talking about it. But let's go to Maria 3.
Hi, James. All right, Marie again. I promise you last message. I'm usually like pretty shy, but until I start feeling more comfortable, I'll start talking more. So hi, I'm out the woodwork. I have one more comment, and that is in regards to Mary. I've kind of always liked Mary. She got issues, controlling issues, 100%. But now I don't know. Like I'm rooting for her, but in the same note, I'm kind of side eyeing her a little bit because Mary, them girls dogged you. They all dogged you, whether you realize it or not. And I ain't got no ill will towards the OG3 at all. That's them, that's their mess. But like Mary, they did not treat you well. And I understand like you're trying to take the high road and worthy up, but Mary, it's time to speak out because they have no problem dogging you and saying shit about you, baby. So it's time to match energy. Am I wrong?
Mm. Every time I hear that, am I wrong? I think of Negla 3. No, well, I'll say this. I think if any of them, and this is for all of them, Mary, Christine, Janelle, Cody, Robin, if you have a story to tell, if you have a perspective that you want to give, I think it behooves you to tell your story now. I think it behooves you to get it off your chest now. Don't sit around and wait for the end of the show and then all of a sudden you want to come out with a tell-all book because it will come off disingenuous. And I can't stress this shit enough. It's what it's going to look like, at least to me, it's going to look like a money grab, a straight up money grab. If you all of a sudden, before it was, oh, I love me some Cody. Oh, he is the greatest man ever. Oh, he's a wonderful person. And then all of a sudden the show gets canceled. Now it's, oh, he's terrible and he treated me horribly and you ain't gonna believe all the terrible shit he did to me. And it was crazy being married to him. It's going to look like you're hunting for dollars. And that's just, I mean, it is what it is. That, and actually, I think that that's a built-in excuse that he would use, to be honest with you. I think he'd be a fool to sit there and try to go tit for tat with you or try to explain anything that you accuse him of later on down the line. His first response, in my opinion, is going to be, I never did that. And the only reason why they're saying I did that now is because the show was canceled and they're trying to find a new source of revenue. Because if I was this terrible person, why would they say I was a good man? If I was a terrible person, why would they say that I was a good father? If I was so horrible to them, why would they agree to do the show with me for 20 seasons? You understand what I mean? And then all of a sudden, they don't have negative things to say about me until after the show is over. Like, if you disagree with me, put it in the comments. I'll check it out. I mean, I'm willing to have the discussion. Hell, I'll post the damn link. You can come up and tell me, James, you crazy as hell. You know, but I think that that's exactly what they're going to do. You know, and it's and even like Tanya said it. Like Daisy for real, they still want to say anything to keep the show going. We just ain't willing to play with them no more. Play with them anymore. You know, and that's what it's going to come out to. You know, if you got something to say it with your whole chest. You have the platform to say. This is what I was talking about earlier when we first started. You have the platform to say it how you want to say it. You don't have to rely on TLC. You don't have to rely on podcasters or anybody else. You could come out, go live, and say what you want to say the way you want to say it about whomever you want to say it about. But if you choose not to do it, don't come back later and expect people to buy books. I'm just saying. Like, I don't think it's going to go the way you think. You know? But again, what do I know? Maria 3, here we go.
Hi, James. All right, Marie, again, I promise you last message. I'm usually like pretty shy, but until I start feeling more comfortable, I'll start talking more. So, hi, I'm out the woodwork. I have
Wait.
one more comment, and that is in regards to Mary. I've
Sorry.
kind of always.
We just heard that. But yeah, I agree with what Marie said. All right, we had some messages from the Jam. Let's check the Jam out.
Hello, this is the Jam. So, as far as Sister Wives goes, I do think it would be nice for the OG3 to come out more forcefully, stating that polygamy doesn't work. But I'm really not going to watch the show anymore. I do think one part I did want to bring up. Remember when Christine was leaving Cody and she asked Cody not to stay at the house anymore? The first thing that happened is he tried blowing her off and he was like, let's discuss this later. And she's like, no, we're not going to discuss this later. And she said, you're not going to be in my bedroom anymore. We don't have an intimate relationship, and that's where we're at. So Christine packed up his stuff. She cried, and she was saying, she was in absolute tears. What did I do so wrong? It's been so hard for so long.
Oh, she got cut off. Hold on a second. We're going to go right to 2.
Part 2. It's too heartbreaking to be around you. She also cried, saying that it was too hard to watch his worthwhile and functional marriages with Robin and Janelle. She did say both of them. She drew a line at no intimacy, and even though he repeatedly showed that he didn't care for her or her children. I do think this was a good thing that Christine did, because divorce should focus on ending an unhealthy marriage rather than involving your children. You need to prioritize your children if you're going through a divorce by keeping them out of your disputes or reasons for divorce so they don't blame themselves. Also, you don't want to force children to choose sides, but allow them to see their own parent-child relationship for what it is.
Well, I think that let me comment from here. Like, first of all, with I think it's hilarious that they bring up Christine kicking Cody out. and him, nah, babe, we can talk about it later. No, we can talk about it now, because the whole I want to talk about it later is just basically, I'm going to give it a little time. I'm going to come back. I'm going to manipulate you back into let me stay. That's what, when I need a little more time. That's what that more time is for. That's the first part. The second part, when I completely agree that when it comes to there is a parsing out of relationships. There's a separation of relationships. Like, for instance, your relationship with my relationship with my wife is separate and distinct than my relationship from my kids. I told the story about the time I realized that my father, like, I came home late and some dumb shit happened. And it was at that moment, James, I messed up. But it was at that moment that, well, I won't even say I messed up. It was a misunderstanding. But it was at that moment that I realized that when I was talking to my mom, I wasn't dealing with my mom. I was dealing with my father's wife. Right. And there's a difference. And like, same, the relationship that they have, there's parts of it that involves me because I'm the product of that union. But then at the same time, there are parts of it that are none of my damn business because it's not my business. That's their relationship to have, maintain, and keep together. So in light of that, if their relationship, my mom passed, so it just isn't really a thing. But if their relationship were to dissolve or to break apart or they were to get divorced, that has nothing to do with me. Right. It has something to do with me in the sense that my life will change because my environment changes, because my situation changes with them, because their situation changed. But I don't have any input into their relationship. I'm not in their private moments between the two of them. I'm not a part of that. And so I shouldn't be part of the reconciliation and or devolution of their relationship. If their relationship dissolves or devolves into a divorce, that's not on me, right? Nor do I carry any blame, nor do I carry any authority in whether they stay together or they break apart. So therefore, you should never put it on your kids to carry the weight of trying to make sure they think that they are the reason why your relationship is breaking up. That's why I'm not a fan of involving your kids. You're involving them in something. What is the NA or AA mantra? Recognize the things you can do. What is it? Recognize the things that you can do something about. Recognize the things that you can't do anything about, and the wisdom to know the difference. And if you're in a relationship, if you're a child and your parents are getting divorced, you don't have any power or control over that relationship. Nor should you feel like you have power and control of that relationship. And if you're a parent who pushes your children in the middle of that breakup, then you are damaging your child. Oh, but they cheated. Oh, but they were mistreating me. Oh, they didn't treat me like a husband. They weren't a good husband or a wife. That's your business, your problem. But the relationship that your child has with their parent shouldn't be impacted by that. Let them come to their decisions or their own conclusions. If they're upset because the other parent was cheating, let them be upset. Let them work themselves through that range of emotion for themselves. But you don't put fuel on a fire when it comes to that. Because that's something that you couldn't even stop the other person from cheating. How the hell your kid's going to stop the other person from cheating? Right? Another part of it is that letting them have their relationship. Just because you don't get along with the ex, I've said this before. We have certain opinions about, we may have certain opinions about Cody and Robin or Cody, but when push comes down to shove, his kids are his kids. It's easy for me to tell Cody that, oh, he's a horrible parent and F Cody and he need to leave them kids alone, because I have my kids and I have a relationship with my parents, and Cody's relationship with his kids have nothing to do with my relationship with my parents. So it's easy for me to say that because I'm on the outside. But if you're Isabel, Aspen, Maddie, or one of the other kids, Gabriel, Big G's, rest his soul. That relationship could be important no matter how shitty a person or parent he is. So if you're trying to force your opinion onto these kids and try to encourage them to understand and see how shitty that dude is, the only thing you're doing is you're asking your child to make a decision between you and the other parent. And in some cases, I hate to tell you this, in some cases, that non-custodial parent, the parent who's not there, the parent who's not making all the sacrifices, can win that situation because they aren't around. And in deep down, who the hell wants to believe that their parents don't want them? No matter how much you as the custodial parent or the parent who's making all the sacrifices, doing everything day to day, and you try to say that this person isn't doing shit for you because they don't want you, they don't like you, they don't need you, they don't want you around. As much as you say that, deep down, this person is, your kids are going to resent you because you may be telling the truth. And maybe they even recognize that you telling the truth. You're right, mom, dad don't want me. But you're the one who's keep reminding them of that fact. You're the one that's hurting them. You're causing the pain. Maybe they want to live in a state of delusion where they believe that they dad actually gives a shit about them. So I mean that's the line we kind of walk. Let's go to the jam number 3.
Okay, so I'm not sure where that last one ended, but I'm saying part 3, do not force your children to choose sides, but allow them to see their own parent-child relationship for what it is. So, how much and how often your children see each parent is up to them. When you leave an unhappy or abusive marriage, it teaches your children self-respect. Some of the parents, like Janelle, she did say and excuse it as I stayed for the kids. That mentality is common. But it allows children to witness a lot of anger, negativity, and it modeled an unhealthy relationship and expectations where parents.
Why'd I cut off? We'll jump right to the next one.
Anyway, I think this is part 4, where the divorces, while they were going on, before they went on, their marriages modeled unhealthy relationships and expectations where one parent was allowed to manipulate situations and were really selfish. The last thing I want to say is there's the one tell-all that really was frustrating. And Suki tells Robin, oh, they used the word submissive, to describe you. And Robin's like, that's nice. I don't care. So she's never going to think that she's ever had anything to do with how bad these marriages were. She constantly gives Cody the cloak of charity. And all of the women did this for too long. We don't want to see it anymore. Thanks.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's a good point. Like the cloak of charity, I think has to be limited to honesty. That's what my mom always told me. Like the only thing you owe anybody is to be honest. Honesty, the truth. That's what you owe them, right? And even when it comes to your kids, I'm not saying sit there and lie to your kids. I'm not saying lie to your kids for or against. Just saying being honest, And part of that is you have some people who will, try to turn their kids against the other parent. So they tell stories and lies to try to turn the kids against the other parent. You have other parents who will try to cover for the other parent. I think both are a disservice. When it comes to you staying for somebody, if you're staying in a shitty relationship, pardon my French, to make your kids feel better, are you making them feel better? Or are you teaching them that they should stay in a shitty situation? And I use this simple barometer. If it were your kids and you were watching your kids in this relationship and their spouse was treating them the way your spouse is treating you, would you want your kid to stay there? And if your answer is no, then my follow-up question to that is, then why are you teaching them how to do it? If you wouldn't want them to live that way with that person, why are you teaching your kids, giving your kids a point-by-point example of how to live in a miserable, loveless marriage with a person who they are no longer connected to for whatever reason? Maybe your kids aren't going to do it because they have kids. Maybe your kids are going to do it because they like their life and lifestyle. They like the checks that their spouse bring in, and they like the money together. They like the vacations, the houses, the cars, the clothes, the business opportunities that marriage or union provides. But the guy just gets handsy every once in a while. He loses temper, or maybe he likes cheating. He's bringing like women into the house and doing all kinds of things with them, putting her life in jeopardy because he's been known to not use protection and bring home diseases. But hey, you got a nice house. You live in a nice zip code. Maybe that's enough for you to sell your soul, your spirit, and your happiness. If you don't want your kid to do something, don't teach them how to do it. Don't set an example for them on how to do the thing that you would never tolerate them doing. Because children, whether in the crib or graduating college, are like sponges. They pay attention and they know more than you're willing to admit that they know. So when you're having problems in your relationship, kids may be surprised or not like the fact that you're getting divorced, but kids know that there was problems. Nobody's sitting there completely, oh my goodness, I can't believe, unless they're like small kids, teenagers and stuff, they know you have problems in your relationship. And the only time that they might be surprised that you're actually going to do something about it or get divorced is if you've taught them to tolerate said bad behavior for so long. That's why they're upset that you're now talking about leaving. And that should give you pause as well. Miss Kata said, I'm starting to ask my husband for a cloak of charity when I spend too much at TJ Maxx. What about that cloak of charity? Cloak of charity, that's where we're going to be living. You keep saying that money. We're going to be living in a cloak, living in a box if you don't watch it. Asking for charity, I feel you though. At least you got a handle on it. You know what it is. Next up to Jam.
Anyway, I think this is part 4, where the divorces, while they were going on, before they went on, their marriages modeled unhealthy relationships and expectations where one parent was allowed to manipulate situations and were really selfish. The last thing I want to say is there's the one tell-all that really was frustrating. And Suki tells Robin, oh, they used the word submissive, to describe you. And Robin's like, that's nice. I don't care. So she's never going to think that she's ever had anything to do with how bad these marriages were. She constantly gives Cody the cloak of charity. And all of the women did this for too long. We don't want to see it anymore. Thanks.
No, I can appreciate that. I appreciate that. But I think that part of the cloak of charity that we talk about if we're going to be honest about it, the cloak of charity isn't just for Cody. The cloak of charity is also the blinders of ignorance that you put up in order for you to be able to subsist and survive in a bad situation. You have to give them the cloak of charity, because if you recognize that the thing that you've done and the things that you're putting up with are so ridiculous and so out of pocket that you should leave, you have to give them the cloak of charity, because that way it justifies you staying. So from that respect, it just occurred to me that the cloak of charity isn't just for Cody. The cloak of charity is also for the wives. You know, welcome to Jam. We talking about you. uh, so I think the cloak of charity was also for the wives. So, in fairness, because who wants to be in a relationship with a terrible person? So you don't. You just, I'm giving them the cloak of charity. I'm seeing the best of them, who they are as a person. But let's go to Jam 6.
Resumes part 2. So,
Oh wait. Oh, here we go.
okay, so now I would like to talk about something we were starting to talk about last week, which is the traditional resume is becoming dead. So when I say that, I mean that AI has made it way too easy to generate these like polished buzzword filled applications that don't actually reflect a person's capability. So the recruiters and I know corporations, they're now seeing hundreds of resumes with the same language, the same formatting, the same AI generated phrasing, and it's making resumes worthless because they all read the same. So companies are having to rethink how they evaluate candidates. Instead of relying on the resume alone, they're shifting to a skills-based hiring where 70% of your employees now say they prioritize skills and your demonstrated abilities.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Resumes part 2. So they're prioritizing your skills, and 70% of employees now say that they want to see your demonstrated ability over your college or your credentials, your degrees, and your previous job titles. Some companies, they're even experimenting with paid work trials where candidates come in for shorter projects, or how back in the old days, remember, we would sometimes apply at temp agencies. And then after you did a good job, you would get hired on full time. Um, Now they're asking for proof of work like projects, your ability to create a spreadsheet, maybe a design portfolio, some writing samples, instead of just believing what is written on a resume. A modern application is not just a biography anymore.
I think that's fair play, but I would also add that because I saw where Linda had said that a friend sent a real juicy job offer, and I have no resume. Been thinking about using AI, but thanks for the heads up. I think that you use whatever tool is available. Okay. And with regard to skills or education, like for instance, you have a college degree, you come out with a college degree. I think for a long time, the importance of college degrees has been, or the weight of college degrees when it comes to job applications has been put in a place where it 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 they sold it, in partly from the institution, partly from tradition, partly from families, partly from society. They sell college education like once you have it, it's the end all be all, it will get you jobs. The truth of the matter is college educations have always been, education of any sort and training of any sort has always been merely an entry into the opportunity. It's a way for you to get into the office. It's a way for you to sit down in an interview at the interview desk. They say that like you have to have 4 years of XYZ and such experience. When you have those things, all that does is give you the ability to apply for the position. It doesn't guarantee anything. And like, same, resumes in and of themselves have never been the determinant factor of whether you get a job or not. So when you look at your resume, think of it more as a key to get you into the room so that you can have the conversation, so you can get into the interview and express yourself. If anything, I would focus more on any interviews that you have coming up as opposed to like the resume education. They're going to do what they do. The biography, that's just your entryway into the job. Nobody's going to be like, oh yeah, I see you have a lot of experience, blah, blah, blah. You're hired. There are things that go into the job application process that a lot of times get overlooked. One of the most important things that, in my experience, that I've discovered is that during the job interview process or job search process is understanding from the perspective of the employee that this is a relationship. Just like if you go out on a date, right? In a social manner, you go out on a date with somebody, good looking, fine as hell, blah, blah, blah. They checking all the boxes. You're not showing up to the date just so you can beg them to spend time with you. You're showing up to the date and spending time with this person because you're trying to figure out if this person fits and matches with you too. It's not just you applying to them. They have to apply to you as well. When you show up to a job interview, unless you absolutely need the job to survive, if you're showing up to a job interview, and especially if it's a career path job interview, you're trying to figure out if this is the right company for you to work for, if this is the type of environment where you can work in and you can survive in. Ask questions. Like there's always a point in an interview where they ask you, do you have any questions for me? Those are the types of questions I choose to ask because I want to know. There's a couple reasons why I ask these questions. One, I want to know the answers. Is this a place I want to work? Is this the type of environment I can work in and I can thrive in? Because I don't want to work in a place where I'm going to show up every day, no matter how much they pay you, it's never going to be enough for you to show up and be miserable and have a terrible time. Because even if they paying you like crazy money, you'll show up and enjoy that money for the first 2-3 weeks, maybe first 2 months. But after that 2-month period is up, you're going to look at no matter how much they're paying, you be like, this shit ain't worth it. Right? So you want to understand it. Is this a place that I want to work? Are you the kind of people that I want to work for? Right? And how does that affect you later on down the line? Because if you start off a job and you say, you know what, these people are kind of snarky. They're like in a job interview, I'm asking you about the same way if I was sitting there as an applicant and they say, well, what do you think about your last position? And I say to the interviewer, well, that my last job, my boss was an idiot and they were so stupid and they couldn't figure anything out without me. They're going to look at me and say, well, you're probably just hard to work with. And they're not going to want to hire me. But if I'm an applicant and I'm sitting there talking to them, well, what happened to the guy who had my position before? What happened with him? That's a question you could ask. Did he move on? Did things not work out? Or what was the cause of this position becoming available? Oh, yeah, that guy, we fired the shit out of his dumb ass. Okay, that goes in my box. Okay, see, now that's a red flag. Because of how you regard and talk about your previous employees. That's something that I think about. That's something I consider. What type of environment is this? Maybe that guy wasn't an idiot. Maybe you guys are idiots. And this guy, he had a good sense to leave. And now I'm here trying to apply for the demo spot. It's a two-way street. It's a negotiation. Everything in a job application is a negotiation down to the money. Oh, we're going to offer you $50 an hour. Okay, that's what you pay everybody else. That's the starting money. Now let's talk about why I deserve more. We're gonna pay you $15 an hour, $10 an hour. Okay, that's the starting money. But I have experience, so we need to bump that up. Everybody who a little inside baseball. I had an opportunity to talk to a HR person with my previous company, and I was sitting in because I was curious about how they did their recruiting and this, that, and other. And I was sitting there talking to how they do their recruiting. And they told me something that I'd never really thought about. They said every HR person is charged with the idea or responsibility of trying to get the best people for the least amount of money. So they offer you enough money to try to make the job appealing, but there's not 9 times out of 10, there's always more money in the bank. There's more money on the table that's available, whether it's actual cash payment in your salary, whether it's flexibility as far as your time, whether it's vacation days, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's always something that they can offer you that they might be holding back. And if they really want you, they're willing to negotiate that money. You know, your salary is not for your salary is merely there for retention. It's to draw you in and retain you. They pay you just enough to keep you from walking off the job and tearing the damn place up on your way out. And so when you're starting a job, your first position is, like I said, it's all in negotiation. Try to negotiate the best deal for yourself, because all your raises, all your promotions will be based on where you started. If you negotiate and you get paid $10 an hour for your job, and that's your negotiation, then when you get paid, you get 5% of that thing at your next evaluation. You had a bang up evaluation, great year, we're going to give you 5% because that's our limit. They give you like a 50 cent or whatever, right? If you got $20, it'd be $1 or $5. You understand what I mean? Like, and because you get paid more, when they do the percentages, you earn more from your thing. That's how you have people who start off at the same position, same job, just difference in salary. All of a sudden, after 5 years, one person is making, 30,000, the other guy is making 45. That's why. And it's how you start. But I would always encourage you, like, I don't think that this stuff isn't a silver bullet. Like the resume building, not a silver bullet. Education, not a silver bullet. Experience, not a silver bullet. Culmination of those things, plus your attitude and walking into the interview. Work on being more personable when you come over to come to your interviews, so that you become the type of person that they want to work with. You want to be the person that they want to work with. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how good your interviews, your resume is, or your education or experience is. If I'm going to be with you day in and day out and you're an asshole, then it's not worth it to me. If I'm the type of person who's going to turn off 90% of the other coworkers, I'm going to demotivate the entire team, then whatever they're paying me and whatever I'm bringing to the table ain't worth it. And that's where I say, like, it's more important, like that interview, that showing this, like, because even when you're doing the resume, a lot of what you're showing is your ability to work within the confines of a team, your ability to be able to work and move the business forward. That's what it's about. It's not about you being an awesome person and a great worker. It's about how can you, the first precept to job promotion, attainment, retention, and everything else is, I have a problem, and can you solve my problem? That's it. That's every job you've ever applied for. That's the question. I have a problem. I need to make X amount of widgets by an X amount of time. Can you make X amount of widgets in X amount of time? If you can do that, you got the job. If you can't do that, you ain't got the job. If you can make the X amount of widgets in X amount of time, but you demoralize my team and now everybody is making less widgets in a allotted time, then I don't need you. You're not solving my problem. When you get fired, you're not solving my problem. And I think that that's part of it too, is just understanding like what role you're playing when you show up for this job. What problem am I solving for these people? What do they need to get done? What problem am I solving? And you get paid more if you can explain to them that you can do the job more efficiently. You can solve their problem efficiently. You can solve their problem quickly. And if you have a specialized skill, which means that you are maybe one of a few people who could actually solve their problem, you get paid more and you become more valuable to them. If they can walk outside the door pick up a rock, throw it into a crowd, and hit 5 people who could solve their problem, you're not going to make a lot of money at that job. You're not going to keep that job. And they probably going to treat you like shit because at the end of the day, they realize that, I can, get a trained monkey to do this. I don't need you to do this. I can get a trained monkey to do it. That's the importance of like building your skills, your experience, your resume out, So that's just my little piece. But let's go to the jam. No more.
Anyway, resumes part 3. I like this idea because it's not just a sequence of what you did and job titles. You actually have to say what you are good at, how you use your skills, and what outcomes these skills create. Rather than the buzzwords, which is I'm strategic, I'm operational, I'm analytical. You have to quantify proof underneath these buzzwords. And then last thing, employers do want to now see your digital footprint, and they'll Google you and see what comes up. So and I know that supposedly in an article I read, 56% of applicants have been rejected due to their online content. So I think more and more we want to teach our children to never do illegal activity, obviously, online, inappropriate photos, bad language.
Well, we're going to jump right to the next one.
Okay, this is my last part on resumes. I guess I never know where it leaves off, but so we want to teach our children. We also want to be careful ourselves that we don't ever have any illegal activity online, obviously. Inappropriate photos, bad language, or things that don't show you in a professional light. So if you've had a breakup or don't like your professor or you don't care for your former employer, keep it to yourself. All of social media doesn't need to know. And once you put things out there, just like the Sister Wives people, and they put things out there, well, now you're allowing people to know. And sometimes maybe you need to quantify why you were doing what you were doing when you did it. All right. I think that's it for me. What do you think, James? All right. Bye-bye.
Well, I agree. I think that social media has become the it's a miraculous thing that we have so many opportunities and so many places available where we can give our opinion and our thoughts on things. But we always have to remember that when it comes to social media, once it's on the internet is forever. And even if you go back and you take pictures or and this is a big thing, especially for folks who may not know, they have sites that can go back and see the pictures and things that you deleted from certain websites, Facebook, so on and so forth. They can go back and see the original page before you deleted those pictures or those videos or whatever. And they can see it in its entirety. Okay? So you may feel like you're hiding things, but in reality, it's still out there. And this is one of the things like we got to tell these young people about it. We got to tell some of the older folks too. Okay? Because young people are more in line to think that because it's the internet and they feel safe and secure in it because they grew up with it and they're comfortable with it, that once they delete it, it's fine. Older folks are more along the lines of, Gen Xers, maybe people, millennials to a degree, and people who are older. They always think that it's the World Wide Web. That's what the WWW stands for those who don't know. Right? The World Wide Web. So it's like a bunch of information. It's too much information for people to be able to sort through. So it's basically like yelling out something in a big ass crowd. There's no way they're going to be able to figure out who did it or if I did it. Right? And that's the problem. It's not as big as you think, and search engines are very powerful. Okay, and they will find your shit. So when you post things, there's a rule I had, especially when it came to Story time. With my previous work experience, I worked when I was in my corporate life. Actually, I guess even before. I worked, and we used to do I did litigation, right? For a company, big company. And when we used to review people's documents as part of that litigation, right? When I was attached to a litigation team. And so when you get those documents from somebody, say we're going to go pull documents from person X, right? Employee X. When we pulled all those documents from employee X and we look through them, we get everything. The messages, the emails, the pictures, anything they did on their computer. Because again, when you work on, especially when you work on company computers or you do company things, even if you use your private devices to go to company websites or a company links and stuff like that to do work at home, they have access to your private devices. They have access. Let me say that one more time. They have access to your private devices. It's my phone. It's my computer. 9 times out of 10, they'll Trojan your shit. Okay. If you go into that site, they will go. They look. It get deep, y'all. So we get all your stuff. And I've seen emails, personal emails about things that, be honest with you, I could have gone to my grave, never have seen. Okay? Because we get everything. So before you send an email out, especially if you're on a work computer and you go to, say, Gmail or whatever you're using, and you send a personal email out, they get copies of that email. They get cashed in and they can look at it and they can review it. I've seen all kinds of stuff people were writing, thinking it was a private message to their wife and medical stuff that they think they're sending to their doctor that technically we can't turn over, but we're reviewing it, right? So you want to be very careful about what you send out. If you have a disagreement with somebody, the one metric I would always use, especially as I was sending emails out, never send an email angry. If you got to take time to walk, take a walk, that's what you do. You get up, walk away from your desk, clear your mind, figure out exactly what you want to say. First of all, you want to figure out if it's worth a reply, especially in an electronic form. If it's that bad, you might want to just walk your ass over to the other person's office and have an in-person conversation. But if it's something that you want to send out because you need to document it, you want to document it in a way that if somebody other than the person who is intended to receive the email reviews that email or sees that email, they will know exactly what you're talking about and they will understand that you're coming from a rational, productive place. And you're not just sending off like, I'm going to bust your head when I see I'm busting to the white meat. Like, you're not doing that kind of crazy stuff, right? It's just a matter of understanding that, because in some, like I said, with some litigation points, you might send off an email and never think about it, and never think twice about it. Maybe you say something about a product or a person or a personnel or training that you received, never think twice about it, and your email becomes the star email of the other person's case. It becomes the email that everybody's talking about, that everybody's reviewed to death. So you have to be mindful of that. When it comes to your personal life, you put up, like as the Jam said, you put up things about your personal life. F this boy, he's my F boy, and I'm going on vacation. I'm catching nothing but booze and D's to the face. And you send that stuff out and you think it sounds cool. And maybe at 18, 19, when you try to impress your little friends, it do sound cool. But when you 35 and you trying to go for that promotion, it might not be as funny in the office when you sitting there trying to explain to your supervisor or your hiring manager why you sent that email off. And you trying to give a very academic answer or reply to something that is juvenile and ridiculous. And there's also a point too. You know, there's also a point too where I like to experience things, and I guess maybe this is what makes me an old man. But if I go on vacation, I want to experience the vacation. I want to see things with my eyes. Too often you go places or you go to events, graduations. People are watching the graduations through their phones or through cameras. They're not watching the graduation with their eyes. They're watching it through a camera. They're seeing it just like they would see it when they go back and watch it on TV later on at their house. They're not experiencing things. They go to a dinner and they take pictures of their meals. It's more interesting to take a picture of the meal and actually taste it. Right? I think we have to learn an appreciation to experience things and the wonderment of life living in first person as opposed to doing like a third person. I got to try to share this with the world. Everything ain't for everybody. You know, everything that happens in your life ain't happening for everybody. You have a breakup, that's between you and the person you break up with. You know, telling everybody in the world that this person is a horrible person, they suck at, oh, they terrible, doesn't really help you. When you're young, you want to show everybody you having a good time. So you at the bar. Something that I especially during the development and innovation of the internet, just a little personal thing that I do. You will be very hard pressed to find any pictures of me holding alcohol. Like when I take pictures or whatever, 9 times out of 10, I put anything I'm holding in my hand, I will put it down. Right. It's just a natural response from, like I said, the positions I've had and all that. Like, it's very rare that you'll see me, like, even out in a social situation where I'm holding alcohol. Right. It's just because sometimes it just comes off. It looks bad. When you're applying for jobs, and like the Jam said, they will, like, especially now, they'll go back. Not only do they do a search of your social media, I've seen where companies have asked people for their social media, all social media accounts, and their passwords. They want to get into the nuts and bolts of what it is you do on social media. And that's something that you have to consider as you start to explore your career. Don't think that like I'm gonna hide it back because I'm gonna change my name. There are ways of finding you. And then once they do find you, the other part of it too, that I guess I don't want to go too far on it, but the other part of it too is that just because you get a job doesn't mean you get to keep that job. If they go back, and you could be working there for years, if they go back and they find something that they disagree with, like you write something crazy and they disagree with it and be like, whoa, this is something that looks bad for the company. Especially if you're in a forward-facing position for the company, you're in a position where everything you do, is representative of that company. They will let you go. I've been here for 10 years and you going to fire me off for something I did in college? Yes. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. They will absolutely do that shit. Why ain't you, if it was a problem, why ain't you let me go before? Because it wasn't a problem then, but it's a problem now. And like all that, like, First Amendment, and I have a right to speech, free speech. You do have a right to free speech. They're not calling the government in to arrest you for the things you said or the things you posted online. They're merely firing you from a position. Just like you have a right to free speech and you have a right to free association, they also have a right to free association. And they have a right to protect their speech. And so if they don't want you to represent them, which would be speech, and they don't want to have an association with you, which is also their right, they will let you go. And it's completely logical. The last thing I'm going to say on this point, friends at work. Be careful of the people that you share your personal business with at your job. Because even though these are people that you are friendly with, Many of the people that you work with are not your friends. You have a situationship with these people. You have a common place that you show up to do a common thing, and you share a common experience. Once that experience leaves, 9 times out of 10, the people who you go to lunch with every day and you talk to, maybe you invite them to your house and your kids' birthday parties. Once you leave that job, most of them people you won't ever hear from again. It's just the way it works. And in some cases, you have situations where you'll come out, say something on your social media site, which is, tying back to the social media thing. You'll say something on your Facebook or whatever, F this person or this politician can eat my blah, blah, blah. And then you'll have the person who is your friend from work turn your post in to your boss. Because what you didn't know is your friend wanted your position. Instead of being maybe your number 2, they want to be the lead of the program or project that you're in charge of. Or they recognize that you're the only person in that office who is a direct competition with them. So they thin the weeds on your ass. And then when you on your way out, after they pull you in because they let you go because of some post you made, and that's ridiculous, they'll be the ones who are standing in the parking lot screaming the loudest about how this is bullshit and we all gonna be together. We all talking about walking up off this job if they let you go because this is ridiculous. And ain't nobody walking off their job for you. Ain't nobody leaving their job, missing their house payments and their mortgage and shit because you got let go. You got fired. We didn't get fired. You got fired. I'm going to sit here and feel bad for you and talk about, oh, man, that's a shame. That's messed up. Well, let me get on back in here. They be looking at us too, right? So just be very careful about the people that you hang out with. That's all. And I'm not dissing nobody's work relationships. I'm just saying, like, there's good people who work at jobs. I'm just saying that you got to be careful with, because we're very quick to look at people who are our coworkers and look at them as friends. But the reality of it is everybody you work with is competition. Let me say that one more again, because it sounds jacked up, but it's true. Everybody you work with is competition. If your company, if you ever been through like a downsizing and or a merger of any type, everybody in that company is competition for one another. Because when a company is trying to figure out who they're going to keep, whose positions are redundant, they call it redundancies. I have 3 paralegals. I have 3 attorneys. I have 4 receptionists. I have 5 chemists. I have 6 vice presidents. And I need to get rid of half of them. Who in this situation can do the other people's jobs? Who in this situation can make sure that my company can solve my problems and I let the other half of people go? So whether we like it or not, we're always in direct competition with our coworkers. Excuse me. Because if the job decided if they got 4 people who have your job and they want to get rid of 2 of you, they're comparing the 4 of you to each other. And they don't give a damn about who's best friends. Because it's what's in the best interest of the company. That's why I say be loyal to your company, as loyal to your company as your company is to you. But that's just, that's me. That's me. Be as loyal to your company as your company is to you. And trust me when I say this, they are not loyal. Okay. This Karma Kitty said, you can't trust everyone and many quick to run the snitch to upper management. I go to jail behind someone attempting to tell on me and I ain't do nothing just for the sake of my job. You going to get, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I take it a step further. Some of the people, I've seen situations where people will damage and or destroy careers for fun. and I say for fun because they don't get anything from it. It's not like they're getting promoted. It's not like they're moving up or they're making their job easier. They just snitching to be snitching. You know what I mean? They get people jammed up just to jam them up. And it's like a pleasure thing. Like, yo, you see what I done did? You see them cry? Like, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So now you're like, yeah, you gotta be careful who you trust at your job. Now, again, I'm not trying to make workplaces uncomfortable and all that. I'm just saying that you just got to be careful with who you trust and why you trusted them. All right. But I appreciate you guys. Let me give a shout out to Jody Periscala. She gave it to the Super Cheese. Appreciate you, Jody. And as always, I like to do the make sure we do the hearts in the chat. This is a section where we give support to people who are maybe going through some things, have some secret struggles, or maybe they just want to feel that love, that virtual hug. So we're going to put some hearts in the chat for those individuals so that they feel that support from us. Because sometimes, people just need to feel supported. They just need to feel seen. They need to feel present and a part of something. So I'm going to throw some hearts in the chat for that. I also want to give some hearts in the chat for members who have reached out to us and said that they might have been going through some things and they want to hold on one second. Okay, I just see it. They want to just reach out and maybe get some support. So let's give the hearts in the chat to Jody Periscala, Carmel Cuties, Megatron, Miss Betty, Kathy Ferran, Allison Gaines, Marlo Peterson, and Team and Ty. Thank you so much. Let's throw some hearts in the chat. Give me 2 seconds, guys. I want to do something real quick.
Could be watching chefs burn pots in the kitchen or influencers fake fights for attention. Drama queens with crowns, but no conviction. But now you're here, my addiction. Could've clicked that prank, that mukbang feast, or streams of gamers slaying beats. But you're here with me, not scrolling free, not lost in streams or reality. You're here with me where you wanna be, out the algorithm. Just you and me. Could be watching cats knock glasses down.
Okay, so Janet just sent me a message and said that she's sending a late SpeakPipe. So let's check out Janet's message from SpeakPipe.
Hey James, it's Janet. I don't know if it's too late for this one to be played this week, but if it's not, then maybe just play it next week. But I hope you're feeling better. I know you were sick. I've been working a lot, so I've missed a bunch of the lives, but missed my SpeakPipe community. And what I wanted to say was I wanted to ask a question. Sometimes when I rewatch the Sister Wives stuff or clips or like episodes, I do wonder, do you think like when Cody met Robin, and he felt so differently, she likes to say, one of the things that she loved about him was that he loved his wives. And that was one of the reasons that she loved him so much. But, I was just wondering, do you think that when they would talk together, that he told her he felt differently about her? And I know that we can't really know that, but like so much of the show was a facade. And I was just wondering if from like the early days, because he felt so differently, do you think that he told her and they talked about it, and they knew? And that's part of the reason that maybe like when he showed her so much favoritism, it wasn't really discouraged because, she knew that she was number one.
Well, I'll answer it this way. Thank you for the call in, Janet. I appreciate you. I'll answer it this way. I think that when he said that, he loved his wives, and she saw that that becomes a standard, right? That becomes one level. I love my wives. That becomes one level. He really loves his wives. But he comes back and says, I love my wives, but I love you more. That becomes a point of achievement. because it becomes next level. Because now Cody is like, he doesn't love everybody, but the people that he does love, he loves me the best. And do I think they had a conversation about it? Yeah, I think they did have a conversation about it. And I think like the dress and like the ring and like everything else, that was supposed to be a secret between Cody and Robin that they were going to share between the two of them. And I think she appreciated the fact that he loved her the best. So when he did these things and he started showing her favoritism, again, it's people who think they're smarter than everybody else. So she thinks she's getting away with, and nobody is recognizing the fact that everybody that he's preferring to spend time with her, that he's over at her house, and she thinks simply by saying, no, that's not true. He spends just as much time in your house as he do mine. She thinks that that's enough for people to be fooled in that situation. And I think that's all it was. I think she thought she could fool everybody. And when it didn't work, and people were started calling her out on it, I think that's where she starts to break down and have problems with the fact that like she's telling a lie. And it's very childish in a way, because it's something you see with kids. Like they'll tell a lie, and then because you don't believe the lie, they start crying because you don't believe the lie. And you're calling them a liar. I can't believe you're calling me a liar, but you're lying. No, but I mean, like, I don't know why you saying that. That really hurt my feelings when you called me a liar, but you were lying, right? And I think that's all it was. Like, I think that, yeah, she absolutely understood that Cody cared for her more and he showed her preferential treatment. I think she was okay with it because she benefited from it. And I think that it was okay. And as long as he showed some interest in the other women and he showed some, he paid some maintenance to them, she didn't understand why they were complaining. What are you mad about? He's good to me. And especially if you're looking at it from that perspective, like if you only care about how he's treating you and your kids, he's good to me, he's good to my kids. So why do I care if he's not treating your kids well? You understand what I mean? So I think that was part of the problem too. And I because it's just selfishness. Like if you just take away everything else, if you're a selfish person, then as long as you're winning, everything is good. Everything is gravy. The second you start losing, the second it's starting to cost you something, the second he's treating your kids the same way he's treating OG-13, now all of a sudden it's a problem. And to a degree. Oh yeah. Yeah, unlimited lipstick. Cody said it on the camera in season 19. Cody and Robin with Mary sitting there. That was part of their agreement. It was a sacred covenant to get married. I think it's because he agreed to not dog her out, but that dog her out the way he was dogging everybody else ass out. Absolutely. I think that's what it was. Like she knew what it was. He knew what it was. He knew that he preferred her. And imagine if you're the person who, and just think of like the basic psychology of somebody like Robin. You grow up in a family where the person you consider to be your father he comes by on the weekends. Like you got a weekend daddy. And he spends the majority of his time with his other children. And they become the center of his life, the center of his attention. And so you kind of grow up in a second class or second tier family. When you are looking for a mate, you're not just looking to be, join a family. You're looking to be in a position that you've always wanted to be in, which is the first tier or first position in that family. You want to be the person who's getting all the attention, right? And so when Cody presents that to her, he's basically saying to Robin, I'm not going to treat you like your mom was treated with your stepfather. I'm going to treat you how your stepdad treated his first family. And to somebody like Robin, in my estimation, that could be valuable. I'm going to do for you the thing that you've always wanted to happen. You always wanted to be first considered. You always wanted to be first partner. You always wanted to be that special person in somebody's life. And I'm going to make you that thing. And in order for me to do that, we're going to have to step over these other winches. And I think that's pretty much why she's okay with it. Because she was in that position. She was in, unironically, she wasn't necessarily in the position that Christine, Mary, and Janelle were in, but she was in the position that the OG 13 was in. And she didn't like it. And she didn't want that for her kids. And Cody represents the opportunity for her to be in the first position, not only for herself, but for her kids. And that's why she's so dedicated to the situation. That's why she doesn't give a shit about what happens to the OG 13. I grew up like that and I'm fine. I don't know what the problem is. And I think that that's where a lot of that root comes from. So, you know, like I say, that sacred covenant. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you for the hearts in the chat. I wanted to make sure we got Janet's SpeakPipe in. If you guys take time to leave a SpeakPipe, I'm definitely going to try to play it. So with that being said, that's my take, y'all. And I know I've been on for 2.5. I said I was only going to do an hour and a half, 2 hours. That was a lie. But yeah, I got to get out of here. I got to, take care of some things around the house. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. I know we got a late start today. We will be back on Saturday for the members roundtable, and then we'll be back on Sunday for another follow-up. I got some things that I got to finish up here so that I can get my office order and we can start rolling some videos out. Make sure you're oh, no worries, Janet. No worries. Thank you for leaving it. Make sure you're subscribed and ringing the bell for notifications so that way you won't miss any of the new content I plan on dropping. It's gonna be spicy, y'all. It's gonna be spicy. We're gonna move a little bit past Sister Wives. We're still gonna talk about Sister Wives as needed, but like I said, I'm only really trying to bring them up as they do things. Like they're gonna have to start earning my views. That's just my opinion. They're gonna have to start earning my time. You know what I mean? I value myself too much to be in this relationship, just placating y'all, putting money in y'all pockets. Y'all gonna have to start earning my shit. It can't just be oh, I'm gonna follow you around like a puppy, and anything you do, I'm gonna report on it. No, I'm not doing that. I ain't no sucker. So you have to say something, do something that's worth my attention, that rises to the level of me wanting to click record on my camera for me to respond to Sister Wives. That's why I started slowing down on some of my Sister Wives coverage, because frankly, it's disrespectful. You know what I mean? It's disrespectful to my time. So that's just where I'm at. All right. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate you. Make sure you tip your bartenders and your waitresses on the way out. I appreciate you guys spending time with me. Thanks so much. That's my take. I'm James, and this has been my take on reality. And I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Go for a ride down the side. PCH.